What's up guys, Real Gaming Dad here. Thanks for joining me again. I've decided I'm going to do a series on my journey into YouTube streaming. I'm really new at this, so please sit back, enjoy. I hope you find it helpful. Let's get it on. Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. So as I said, I thought I would do a series on my journey into YouTube streaming, which has been really scary and a big learning curve for me, not just because I'm old, but because there's lots of mistakes you can make along the way. There's lots of bad advice you can get. And so look, I thought I'd do this series for people who are seriously thinking about doing it. And the first thing is, you're never too old to do it. And the second thing is, I'm not an expert. There are going to be people who watch this video and say that's wrong, or you could do it better. That's probably the case, but this is what works for me. And I am really excited about learning and moving on and becoming better at this. But I just thought I'd share what I've done so far. So let's talk about the hardware first. So the first thing I was looking at was, I need a really good microphone, and I did a lot of research and I checked a lot of what is out there, and it turns out I need what they call condenser microphone. So then I start Googling for the best one of those, and when you start Googling for streaming equipment and gaming equipment, the name that pops up every single time is Elgato, and as this goes on you'll see how much I've used Elgato, and to be fair, it's a decision that I would never change. The kit is brilliant. So I was looking, and they did a microphone called the Wave 1, and it looked really good. And so I'm Googling away, and then of course I come across the Wave 3, which is their brand new microphone. I think it's been out a few months now. It's got 3 different settings. It connects directly into your PC via USB. It's got a headphone jack, and it also supports all of the cheap microphone arms. Like, my microphone arm cost me a tenner, and it works perfectly. I'm actually talking to you through the Wave 3 now. It's a really, really good microphone. And what I'm going to do is, later on in the series, I'm going to be breaking down each of these components one by one and giving them a proper review, so that it doesn't seem rushed. So, look out for that. It cost me £160, £159.99 from Elgato, but it was actually the best microphone that I had ever used, and I've used a lot of them, so money well spent. You can probably get it cheaper, but again, if you buy directly from Elgato, that's how much it's going to cost you. So moving on, as you can guess, the next thing I had to think of was, what camera do I need? And again, I'm Googling, and look, I couldn't afford a DLSR. And I wanted an easy stream cam that would be easy to set up, wouldn't be too much money, and would give me good quality. And as you can see, I went with the Logitech stream cam. So the Logitech stream cam did come with some challenges, which I'll talk about when I get on to the hardware side of the PC. And you can probably see now that I am quite close to the screen. Now, unfortunately, this is the furthest that the Logitech stream cam will zoom out. So if I want to maybe get more of the background, I have to sit back. I sit quite close to my PC, which for reasons I'll go into as well a bit later on. But apart from those things and its connection, which we'll talk about shortly, it's a great camera. I'm shooting this in quite low level light now, behind a green screen. All I've got to do is plug it into my PC. I use OBS to do my capture, and it's a really easy bit of kit to use, really easy to set up as well. And the good news, unlike DLSRs, it came in at a really reasonable £139. So for beginners, I would recommend this camera. Again, don't get me wrong, there are better DLSRs. If you can't afford that, if you are a new starter, if you're a beginner, this is where I would start. So moving on, I just mentioned to you that I've got a green screen, and unfortunately this is where you can't skimp. So little did I know that green screens are actually, you can get different types of green. So when I started doing my research, you can get the little green sort of round screen that sticks on the back of your seat. You can get the cloth that you can put on your back wall, and you can get various cheap green screens. But when it comes to using chroma key, which is a filter within your software that removes the background for you, actually it does need a significant green. It does need a certain type of green to work really well. So again, Elgato came to the rescue, and they produced this. Now this is a freestanding green screen. It pulls up and down, it folds away neatly. You can slide it under your bed, put it over your shoulder, put it in the cupboard. Really, really great bit of kit. It's what I'm using right now. But again, with Elgato, and again with not skimping on this, it does come in at a hefty 150. Trust me when I say this, do not buy cheap on the green screen. Buy smart. If you spend the £150 because you are going to use a green screen, and what I mean by that is, if you have a great background, if you have a great environment where you don't need to use artificial backgrounds like me, you don't even need one of these. You don't even need to spend that 150. But if you are in a little box like me, because I am currently transitioning in where I live, then you need a green screen, and you need a good one. And that was my phone going off. So honestly, guys, do not skimp on this. And when I get a bit braver later on in the series, I will show you this in action. I'll show you exactly my surrounding and how much the green screen changes things for me. So yeah, don't skimp on the green screen, guys. So look, that is the what I would say the additional streaming hardware that I've gone for. And then I want to move on to the PC. Now the PC, this is where a lot of my trial and error came in, because I was gifted quite a lot of the hardware, which is, if you're watching, bless you, thank you. I couldn't have done this without you, and I hope that I'm doing it justice for you. So I was gifted a GeForce GTX 1080, which, you know, it's a £400-500 card. And as soon as I was gifted that, I was like, right, I want to do the best justice to this card I can. Now, unfortunately, I was also not unfortunately, actually fortunately, I was gifted a motherboard, which was the B360MK, which was an Asus motherboard. But unfortunately, that motherboard is a budget motherboard. It's quite a low-end spec motherboard. The issues with it are it only went up to 32 gig of RAM. It had quite a low RAM speed. I believe it was 2333. Only had one M.2 drive, and it just... It wasn't what was obviously a gaming motherboard. But I ran with it, that's fine. And it was a socket 1151. So then I decided that I need to work out what processor I'm going to go with. Now with the socket 1151, I was quite limited, and I decided to go with the i7. Now, the reason I went for the i7, and the reason I went for this specific i7, by the way, the 9700F, was purely price. So this came in at £195, which is like crazy for a processor. I couldn't believe I actually found it that cheap. And when I did my research, I found that the 9700F has good benchmarks. It will do gaming, it will do streaming, it will handle most tasks. It effectively can't be overclocked. That's the downside of it, and I'm not really interested in overclocking right now because I'm a beginner. I'm doing this on a low budget, and I just want something that will do what I want to do right now. Yeah, if time goes on and I start to do really well, I'll build a bigger rig and I'll maybe go up. to an i9, and I'll do all those weird and wonderful things that you can do when you become an expert pro. But I'm not there yet, so I'm happy. So I'm happy with that. So yeah, I got myself an i7, and it went to the motherboard, and everybody, everybody was happy. It was fine. So then I decided, RAM. What am I going to do now on the RAM? I did go with 32 gig, 216s. But I want to showboat a little, if I'm honest, and so I went with the Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB. Now, as you can see, it lights up on the end. So if you've got a rig like mine, I've got a glass side, and so you can see the RAM changing colours, and you can actually set it with. There's a program called I believe it's ICE that you can use with Corsair. And you can tell it what colour you want the RAM to do. You can make it do individual colours. It's just a bit jazzy. I really liked it. And so, yeah, I went with that RAM. And actually, the RAM's amazing. The RAM is awesome. So Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB is what I went for. You don't have to do that. You can save some money and not have the flashing lights and have cheaper RAM. It's not going to hurt you. This RAM is at 266 megahertz. Again, that's fine. But if you want that little bit of snazziness, the RGB Pro, pretty good. So moving on from that, I then had the motherboard issue, which I spoke to you about earlier. And as I said, I had a B360MK. Now, here's the issue. My Logitech camera came with a USB-C connection. Right, the B360M doesn't have USB-C. Okay, fine. So I'll get a converter. No problem. Get the converter. And then I was like, while I'm waiting for the converter to arrive from Amazon, I'm like, okay, I wonder if there's any drawbacks of converting C to A. And turns out that the 60 FPS stream cam effectively gets reverted to a 30 FPS stream cam because of that converter, because it's designed to go for USB-C natively. So that's when I start to think, okay, now I'm doing an injustice to the hardware I've already got, because the motherboard is clearly not fit for purpose. So what did I do? I did what most people would do, and I sold the B360M for around £65, and then picked up the Z390 Gaming Carbon Pro from MSI for 130. Again, it was on offer. I will mention that it came from eBuyer, and wow, what a motherboard. So first of all, it came with USB-C, it came with higher speeds for my RAM, it came with a jump from 32 gig to 64 gig. And again, as I go on in the series, I will be speaking about all of these items in detail. So yeah, put my i7 in it, put the RAM back in it, put it all together, and hey presto, here we are. One of the other reasons that I also decided that it wasn't just about doing justice to the hardware I've got. In the testing times, I was playing Fortnite, or I was streaming, and the PC would just die, just switch off. And I'm like, oh wow, the motherboard can't handle it, or maybe it's the i7 that can't handle it. And I was getting really frustrated. And then I turned to my friend Google, and there's lots of forums out there. Actually, guys, there are lots of people out there that really want to help. And so I turned to forums, and everybody started pointing at my PSU. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. I've got an 800 watt PSU. It's not my PSU. And I did some checks, I did some calculations. The online calculators, I only need 550 watts to run my rig. So it's not the PSU. But then, people start saying to me on the forums, hey, look, what PSU have you got? And I had a Power X3 by SumiVision. And straight away, I was told, hey, look, it says 800 watt on the case. It's not 800 watt, at best 350. The connections on there don't even fit your board. So how are you connecting? I was like, well, I'm using converters that I got from Amazon. Like, converters are a way to blow up your rig. And also they said to me that if it's cutting out, it's 99% PSU, and by the way, you're running the risk of the PSU cutting out and blowing up everything else with it and taking your whole rig. So I was like, wow, this is something I've really got to look at. So, you know what? I invested some more money. I bought a Antec PSU, 700 watt Antec PSU, plumbed it in. Wow. I have not had a, it's probably going to happen now during this recording, but I have not had a dropout since. So guys, another really important thing, when you're doing this, you do need, I would recommend a 600 watt PSU or above, and I would recommend spending your money Corsair, Antec. Really good mates. Do not skimp on the PSU like I did. I'm actually really lucky that I didn't blow up everything and set myself back by a few months while I saved to start again. So really, really important that you make sure your PSU is sound. So yeah, that's where I am with those 3 bits of kit. I'm actually really happy with what I've accomplished so far. As I say, please check out the channel, please subscribe, please give us a like, click the bell, all those things that YouTubers say that I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to get my brand right with you. And look, as I say, this is for beginners, and I might not be right, but I just wanted to share my experience. So guys, thanks for listening, thanks for tuning in. It really means a lot that you took the time to at least listen to the video. And hey, leave your comments below. Let me know what you want to hear. I'm going to be doing reviews more and more, so I'm going to be doing reviews on more of my hardware, on the software I'm using, on the journey of how I've started to learn how to use that software. The hardware, I'm going to go into specific detail about each piece of kit. And if you are looking for a specific review and you want me to review it, hey, if I get enough requests, I'll go out and get it and we'll review it. That's cool. That's what I'm here for. So guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning in, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.